Hello all! This is Oblivious Alsk bringing you once again Science or Not. A show where I talk about science or obviously not. Usually science because that's what I'm into, but now and then you never know, something else might happen. It's been a small while since my last upload, but I had intended to actually upload another video while I was still in Italy. In fact, I have already filmed this entire show that I'm about to film right now, in Italy. But something screwy went on with the audio and I have to re-record the entire thing. But I am dedicated to this project and am willing to redo it. So as geeky as this sounds, let's start the science. First story that I must re-record, concerning a radical new theory that has been proposed on basis of new research. It essentially says that we may be able to cure aging, turning it into a decisive level of medical control, similar to other current curable diseases. The scientist making these claims, Aubrey de Grey, says that aging is simply the lifelong accumulation of various types of molecular and cellular damage throughout the body. Basically taking the whole Monty Python idea.
Then you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. Look! Just a flesh wound.
But what if we were able to go into the body and fix whatever molecular and cellular damage has been done? We could possibly prevent any chance of even contracting a dangerous disease, which is usually the thing that kills a lowered immune system over time. However, there has been concern about the world being full of weak people taking a whole bunch of space in nursing homes. De Grey has addressed this, saying that it's actually not a matter of keeping people alive in a bad state of health, but more about preventing people from getting sick as a result of old age. Also, the particular therapies that are being worked on will only deliver long life as a side effect of delivering better health. So it's not really that we're curing aging, we're just fixing the body so it may ward off other diseases that could get in because of weakened immune systems as a result of aging. A specific example of this is heart disease. If you can stop the little glitches that happen that give people heart attacks as a result of heart diseases, then they wouldn't have the heart attacks, obviously. So in case you're thinking of living really long in your own lifetime, de Grey thinks that the first person to live to see their 150th birthday has already been born. And also, the first person to live for 1,000 years would be just 20 years younger than that person who could live to 150, if medical advancements continue at this rate. It'd be great to live longer. I mean, one of the only things that scares me is growing up. Because I'm 21 and I still haven't grown up. But just imagine a whole bunch of 1,000-year-olds walking around. Hello, little Timmy, how are you doing today? Well, my name's not Little Timmy, but I'm doing okay. How about you? I'm doing perfectly fine. How old are you? I'm 21. Why? Because I remember when I was your age. 979 years ago. I remember like it was yesterday. Now wouldn't that be weird? But I think it's great that we're having all these medical advancements, and whether it turns us all into Yoda or not is a different story.
No subject.
I'm going to be a dietary physician for a moment here. Are you drinking diet soda? How long have you been drinking it? Now, what's your waistline? Why am I asking these questions? Because there's been quite a lot of research into what diet soda can do to you, concerning weight. Turns out those who drink diet soda had their waists increased by 70% or more than people who avoid drinking soda altogether. Also, those people who had 2 or more servings a day had their waist's circumference increase 5 times more than those who drank normal soda. All of this is slightly counterproductive. I mean, the point of being on a diet is to reduce your weight, and hence waist circumference. So why is diet soda making people fat? Well, let's start with the difference between normal soda and diet soda. Normal soda's sweetener is sugar, specifically sucrose, while diet soda has a compound called aspartame, which is actually 200 times sweeter than sugar. And just as a side note, since so much less aspartame is needed to sweeten the soda, not as much is used. So, a can of Diet Coke is lighter than a can of Coke, enough to actually float instead of sink, which normal Coke does. Give it a try sometime, it totally works. But let's get back on track. As it turns out, our taste buds can't tell the difference between these two compounds, namely sucrose and aspartame. But even though the taste buds can't tell the difference, our brains can. Both compounds trigger our appetites, but aspartame cannot satisfy that appetite. This messes with the body's ability to tell you when you're full. This makes you eat more because of your unsatisfied appetite, hence the increase in waist size. So it's actually not the Diet Coke making people fat, it's the unsatisfied appetite which makes people eat more, which is making them fat. This effect also happens with other artificial sweeteners as well. A test was done with 2 groups of people who drank water sweetened with sugar and water sweetened with Splenda, which is another sweet compound called sucralose that is derived from sugar. The two groups of people couldn't taste the difference, but MRI scans showed that reward centers in the brains responded to real sugar more than to artificial sweeteners. Your brain then starts acting like a spoiled kid. Yeah, it tastes good, but it's not amazing. Therefore, give me something sweet. And you, being the obedient parent of your own brain, gives them even more dessert. Usually something with actual calories. Again, hence the weight gain. Oh, just shut up, little Timmy. Have another milkshake. Also, another explanation for this is that the sweet taste could trigger your body to produce insulin, which actually blocks your ability to burn fat. But all in all, it really depends on how you're using the diet soda. If you're substituting it for a higher calorie soda, you'll likely be fine. However, if you're using it as an excuse to get that Oreo milkshake after your burger and fries, it's gonna have the opposite effect.
New subject.
Our next story is really two, and they're both about sinkholes. If you don't know what a sinkhole is, here's a picture. This is specifically a picture of an enormous sinkhole that has opened up in the town of Leesburg, Florida. When it opened up, it took a garage bin, an oak tree, and the back wall of a building down into the depths. It was actually 60 feet wide and 20 feet deep, so these things are huge. But what causes something like this? What causes something so perfectly circular and just straight down into the ground? It actually happens when acidic groundwater dissolves underground rock formations. So when the acidic water dissolves some rock formations under a building, how do you like my sound effect? And these things are loud when they go. The only thing that I don't really know about all this is why they're perfectly cylindrical. I mean, rock formations underground are very, well, jagged, evidenced by earthquakes. I mean, you never have a perfectly circular earthquake. But all strangeness aside, sinkholes are not all that rare. Since the 1950s, 3,100 sinkholes have been recorded in Florida, and one very silly one in Guatemala City, which is not in Florida like that other one, but nevertheless is still concerning a sinkhole. Just to put you in these people's shoes, what if you're just at your home, lying around, sitting on the bed, playing some cards, something like that, and you hear this loud booming sound inside your house? Well, that happened to one woman who ran outside scared to no end, just to return back inside her house to find that one of these sinkholes had formed under her bed. It was 3 feet wide, so quite a bit smaller than the last one, but 40 feet deep. You know that saying that if you ever can't find something, look under the bed? Well, in this situation, you just might find something. And that something is that whatever you're looking for has fallen down a 40-foot hole. And like Florida, Guatemala City is also prone to getting these random sinkholes because of tropical rainstorms. So anyway, these stories are not exactly that important, but they're interesting nonetheless. I just hope no one ever ends up walking down the street and has this happen to them.
New subject.
Okay, so last story of the day. I'm not going to make any jokes about this one because it's actually a quite serious one. It's a story about the sexually transmitted disease known as HIV, which stands for the Human Immunodeficiency Virus. This virus is transmitted largely by unprotected sex. It currently infects 0.6% of the world's population, increasing at a rate of 7,000 people per day. And 30 million people have been killed by it since its discovery 30 years ago. All in all, it's a pretty devastating and dangerous disease. Also, it's not like you can get a shot, get it cured, and go on your merry way. No, in fact, there's no known cure. There are medications that allow a person to live for a good while with the disease, but there's nothing discovered yet to get rid of it permanently. Or shall I say, until now. A man named Timothy Ray Brown, otherwise known as the Brazil patient, as doctors have been calling him, was given a bone marrow stem cell transplant from a man who was immune to HIV. And what happened next was simply that Timothy Brown's HIV vanished. Other than some mild neurological difficulties that resulted from the operation, there is absolutely nothing related to HIV that's wrong with Timothy Brown. So is this cure applicable to the other 42 million people in the world and growing with the disease? Unfortunately, absolutely not. Bone marrow stem cell transplants can actually be fatal, and only about 1% of all Caucasians are immune to HIV. So not only is the procedure dangerous, but the cure is extremely rare when you factor in how many people would actually be willing to donate bone marrow stem cells. To give some backstory, this immunity of 1% of Caucasians actually comes from a developed immunity to the Black Death when it hit England in the 1600s. So even with the rarity of the cure and the difficulty in administering it, this one cured case has encouraged further research in the future. And all we can really do is keep looking. So that's everything I've recorded once before in Italy, and I'm having to record it again. But at least I'm in air conditioning this time. I've included all the stories I've talked about today in the drop-down bar below, including another story that I didn't talk about today about what causes brain freezes and how to get rid of them. Hit the like button if you liked the video, and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more. Now that I'm done with vacation and it's still summer, which means I don't have to be in school, I will probably get back to filming these a little bit more often. But until next time, ciao!